Could happen.
Good evening and welcome to the July 28th, 2011 meeting of the Radnor Township Environmental Advisory Council. We appreciate your joining us here tonight. The meeting is called to order, and the first item on our agenda for this evening is the review and approval of the minutes of our previous meeting held on June 23rd, 2011. The meetings have been distributed to the EAC for review. Does anyone have any corrections or changes to the minutes? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Great. A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Minutes are approved. And we want to thank Ann Poulin for preparing the minutes last time, and also to thank Steve Elliott for volunteering to prepare minutes this time. Thank you. Okay. Great. Next item on the agenda are our announcements. And first announcement I want to make is that our next installment of the Sustainability Series workshop will be held tonight right here in this room at the Township building, and the program will be Bringing Green Energy Home. The program will focus on energy efficiency, conservation, renewable energy technologies, and it'll be applicable to households, businesses, and individuals, so we encourage everybody to come down to the Township building for this program. It'll start at 7 o'clock, and as always, these are hosted cooperatively by the Radnor Township EAC, the Radnor League of Women Voters, and the Radnor Conservancy. For this particular program, it is a workshop that will be put on by the Delaware County Conservation District and the Pennsylvania Resources Council with funding that they obtained through a Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection Environmental Education Grant Program. And for those interested, they will be giving out a free CFL light bulb to the first 80 attendees who come, and have a drawing for a free home energy audit. So we encourage everybody to come down. Have about an hour to get down here, so plenty of time. We'd love to have you come out for the program. Next announcement I have is of the Delaware Valley Green Building Council Annual Green Building Celebration and Leadership Award Ceremony. DVGBC is the regional chapter of the U.S. Green Building Council that's responsible for the development of the LEED standards, the green building standards. And so the Delaware Valley chapter is having their annual event on September 22nd, 2011 down at the Waterworks. This is their 10th anniversary, so it should be a terrific event. It does happen to be on the same night as our September EAC meeting. But if you weren't planning to come to the EAC meeting, then you really might want to check this out. I'm actually on the board of DVGBC, and I want to encourage you to attend. It's been a fabulous event in prior years, and I expect it to be even better this year. Okay, that's what I have as far as announcements. Do others have announcements of any upcoming events, topics? No? Okay, very good. Next item on the agenda will be our work group reports and discussion. Our first work group is the Climate Protection Work Group, working on the Greenhouse Gas Action Plan. And as of last meeting, we tried to divvy up the work on that so that Josh isn't having to put together, the drafts of all the items. And I think I've seen some drafts come through. Josh, do you have any updates or anything you want to report on?
We do have half of the items divvied up amongst our members in terms of the next stage of research and preparation of what we've been calling one-pagers on each item. And before the end of the night, I'd like to get one person here to volunteer for one of the remaining ones that nobody's volunteered for, and that's the possibility of hybrid school buses. And that would involve discussions with the school district to find out what they know about the topic, and do a little research online to find out what other people are doing, to find out what kind of legs that item has. So before I leave tonight, I'm going to get somebody to volunteer for that one.
Are there other items on the list that involve the school district, such that we can identify perhaps if someone's going to have to speak to the school district anyway about some other item? Might be good to...
I do have an item that I'm going to talk to about recycling in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be happy unless anybody else is.
So a lot of hands go up. I mean, it's an interesting one. And there are anything that we talk about that works for the Township in general is going to also work with the school district as
Right.
well. So, lighting, HVAC, it all kind of works. So we will have some discussions,
Did you guys
Wanted to do the school
link
bus.
together.
Oh, okay.
My next door neighbor is Brucey Rappaport, so
That's a pretty good.
I'll lean across the fence and have a very low carbon impact in my conversation and find out what her thoughts are. and
Okay, yeah.
what
Great.
materials they may have,
Excellent.
et cetera.
All
Yeah,
right, thanks, Skip.
So now that we're getting close to having all of the assignments divvied up, we are looking now forward to these one-pagers, draft one-pagers coming back in, so we can all then compile them together and distribute them amongst our members here and have a look and decide which ones have merit to go to the next step. We have some have come back. Anna sent some of hers back in. I have one of mine finished. I haven't distributed around yet, but hopefully by next meeting we can have the balance.
Sounds like a deadline to me.
Yeah, did I
Yeah,
throw that out
okay.
there? I'm
All
throwing
right,
it down.
Very good. Next
So-
meeting, okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right. Next work group is Sustainability Work Group, which covers a few items. We already mentioned the upcoming sustainability series that'll be held here tonight in the township on bringing green energy home. If folks had, and this is going to be the last sustainability series program that we have on the agenda for 2011, so we'll be looking for ideas for other sustainability series programs. So if folks have issues that they're interested in, or issues that they think the public might be interested in, why don't you shoot me an email with topic ideas, and if anyone is listening at home and has topic ideas of sustainability issues they'd like us to address, you can go ahead and send an email to Melissa Kahn at the Township, and she'll get it to us. But looking to focus on some issues that we haven't already tackled with this series. Next up is update on the electric vehicle charging station pilot project. As folks recall from prior meetings, the Board of Commissioners had approved a proposal for Radnor Township to provide a parking spot to participate in an electric vehicle charging station pilot that Community Energy had received some grant funding to undertake. And at a prior meeting, the Board of Commissioners, they authorized the solicitor to begin negotiations with Community Energy on a hosting agreement. And I think recently they've identified a parking spot near the senior center in Wayne that might be appropriate for that. So that's all that I have on that now, but it does seem to be moving along.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I touched base with Community Energy. They said things seem to be moving very well. So
Great.
it sounds like.
I haven't heard that they're not, and I think that they had approved even before we had approved. So I suspect that is moving forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay. Very good. Third item under sustainability is our WaterSense partnership, EPA WaterSense partnership, and Sloan
Yep.
always brings us terrific
I've got
ideas
a
for
few
saving water
off
conservation.
the EPA WaterSense site. They had a nice facts and tips to reduce water use during peak season, and they point out that peak water use is the time of year when residential water use is at its highest, basically summer. Late July and August, early August, so we're right in it right now. Folks can use up to 4 times as much water during this time as they usually do the rest of the year. So this really is the time to try to think hard about what you are using, particularly outside. So they list some interesting facts, including that the average American home uses about 260 gallons of water a day, but during the peak season can use 1,000 gallons a day, or even in some cases as much as 3,000 gallons on a peak day, which is a lot. They go on to point out that some 50% of the water used outside may go to waste from evaporation or runoff due to overwatering. And then they've given some tips for saving water outdoors. The first one is when thinking about whether to water your grass, the grass doesn't always need water just because it's hot. outside. So they recommend stepping on the lawn, and if the grass springs back, it doesn't need any water. And there's also inexpensive soil moisture sensors that can show how much moisture is at the plant's roots. And then they point out that the best time to water is early morning, late evening, to avoid evaporation. Recommend inspecting irrigation systems, checking for leaks or broken or clogged sprinkler heads. And then some other ideas, including instead of hosing off your sidewalk or driveway, sweeping them, and then raising your lawnmower blade, because longer grass promotes deeper root growth and more drought-resistant lawn, reduced evaporation, and fewer weeds. So some good ideas, including and also more ideas at the WaterSense site, which is the epa.gov/WaterSense.
It's great, very helpful. Appreciate that.
Sure.
You know, I'm always getting these emails with new ideas for sustainability. I don't know if you folks have seen this, and I'm certainly not endorsing it. I just thought it was something unusual that I hadn't seen before. Somebody is offering green lawn paint. So when your lawn dies and it turns brown, rather than spending a whole lot of time using water to turn it green, back to green, you just spray it with this lawn paint and it looks green, only you don't have to use water. Have you ever heard of that? Have you, Skip? Yeah? Yeah? What do you think of that?
I guess in climates like Phoenix, it might make a lot of sense. Here, you know, you have a couple of big storms and everything starts to grow again. So I guess what happens is the green washes off over time.
Oh, does it?
No,
Yeah.
I'm asking. I'm not
I
sure.
have no, I really don't know anything about the product other
Yeah.
than I had been sent
Well,
an
and I
email
wonder if
about
there are
it.
chemical issues with that, or
It might be good if it actually was, you know, fertilizer.
And if it washes off, then you got to worry about it washing into streams and
Yeah.
right, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Unusual. Okay. Well, thank you for the good tips. All right. Our next item on the agenda is community environmental awareness. And Josh, you should usually have a report on that. Do you have anything tonight?
I think I'm just going to reiterate a point I made a few months ago, and that was that the then principal of Wayne Elementary School, Dr. Sharon Johns, who has since now moved to a different position outside of the school district, agreed to let the West Green Committee, which is a subcommittee of the PTO, or is it PTA? It's PTO. Yeah. To come up with house team ideas that are environmentally related. So, and if anybody's familiar with this, that's where the kids get together in a multi-grade groups where there's 5th, 4th, 3rd, and I think 2nd. I'm not sure if 1st graders go in. They all get together in these groups, and they have their assignment is to to finish a project, and the 5th graders help lead, and the 4th graders also help lead, and then the 3rd and the 2nd graders are the worker bees, and it's with minimal parent or teacher interference. They're basically student-led groups, and it happens a few times a year, every year. And in the 2011-2012 school year, West Green is coming up with all of the house team ideas, so they're all going to be environmentally related. And we are in the middle of coming up with those ideas and planning them out. So if anybody has any ideas of a good project, or have some ideas on the top of their head, I'd love to hear them.
And when did you say it'll be initiated? This coming school year?
Yeah,
or
the house teams have been going on for a couple of years now, and this environmental initiative starts, I guess, September of 2011 through the whole school year.
I wonder if there's any items in our greenhouse gas action plan that might be suitable for the kids to get involved with. Maybe we should take a closer
We
look at
did
that.
talk last time about Peggy Hagan's idea that we do some sort of poster contest for encouraging recycling, and that Peggy said she might be able to use in town mailings around recycling. So I think Brucey was going to bring that up at the school board, but that might be something that would be a good link with Peggy's recycling efforts, and a great school project. That was really the idea, was that it would be something there, that the kids would compete to design the best poster encouraging Radnor recycling.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, they're also talking about a bat house as another one. That's just as an idea. They at one, just give you an idea. One year they've been collecting bottle caps at the time it was a non-recyclable item that they were trying to get out of the waste stream. So one of the teachers was asking all the students to bring in their bottle caps into school, clean, dry bottle caps, and then they would make I think a poster out of them. Like some kind of an artwork. And one of the things they had to do was to sort, categorize, and come up with categories, sort them, count them, blue caps, green caps, large caps, small caps, whatever. So one of the house
Sounds like
teams
Dr. Seuss.
So, so we're looking for interesting ideas that can keep these kids. I'm not sure how long the house teams are. I don't have kids that are quite old enough to do this yet, but I believe they are a half-day project. It's a long project. It's a big thing. So,
Who was gonna? Which one of our EAC members was going to maybe do a bat house? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
I'm waiting.
Okay.
I'm waiting for them to move into my bat house that I just put up. And once that
okay.
happens,
All
yeah,
right.
it's been on the wall for about a month and a half, but as of
But
a
we
couple
had-
weeks ago, I hadn't seen any in there.
Right. So, but we had talked about maybe having a program or presentation here where you can maybe show folks
Sure.
how to do that.
Yep.
If there's interest that the kids have in the bat houses, I mean, I don't know whether there would be some element of maybe getting, if the kids were going to learn how to do this, getting them involved in doing a presentation here, and then that way they could kind of learn about bat houses and perhaps then show off what they learned. I don't know if that fits within the program structure, but since you mentioned it, and since I'm anxious to hear what, see what Dan has to say and show us how to do the bat houses, that might be a nice way to combine a couple of things.
no, I'll bring that up.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. Thank you. Next item on the agenda are our liaison reports. Skip, do you have anything from planning?
On Monday, we're going to be looking at a few new projects and the latest version, I guess, of some projects. But one of them that struck me as somehow possibly presenting some opportunity for the EAC, Luella Court is converting the apartment building into luxury condominiums. And they're doing an underground parking garage. Right now, the specifications call for an 18-inch soil top on top of that, and that's not, as my understanding from the review by the engineer, that's not ideal. It's supposed to be at least 24 inches, but just the concept of underground parking being a potential carbon footprint reduction for Radnor, heat reduction, solar energy and all that, and maybe we should be looking at something in our ordinances that would encourage a charging station in an underground setting, because the equipment would last longer, the connections would be safe and all that. You wouldn't be unable to work with it on a rainy day, that sort of thing. So I will bring that up to the developer on Monday, but just food for future thought there, that maybe there's something we can do that incorporates the electrical vehicle charging initiative.
It's a good idea. So the parking would be just for the condo owners?
Well, that part is true, but
Oh,
yes.
that was a question, actually.
Yes,
Yeah, it was.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But still, to encourage developers, especially with an underground or a covered situation, to have electric vehicle charging stations as part of their, automatic design thought, just like a handicap space or anything else.
Right, right.
We're
I mean,
not
one of the
at-
other things that, I don't know how this would play out. But so there's all this talk about zip cars and car sharing, and if folks have condos right next to the train station and they're right in town, they also may be the kind of folks that perhaps don't need a car as much as people that are, out in some cul-de-sac, and maybe we should start thinking about, I think we've talked about trying to invite Philly Car Share to consider having stops out here. I mean, that might be a nice connection to make, because that may be perfect, linkage of.
It's the article we looked at from the Wall Street Journal about the guy doing it in Paris.
Right.
Well, it's something that is going to be more common rather than less. There'll be every incentive for a developer to put one in and make it an amenity that's available to some tenant or multiple tenants. But maybe there's some minor way, in other words, if the township is going to incur costs now to create the charging station as part of a civic enterprise, maybe it would be something that the commissioners, or we could determine we could waive $400 or $500 in permitting fees if they agree to put a electric charging station in. That'd be a cheap deal for the township.
Right, I guess they'd have to evaluate potential usage if it's limited to just the owners. But is the conversion going to be like a green conversion? Do you know if they're going to be trying to meet
I'm going to get all the
LEED
details on
standards?
Monday. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Skip, do you know why they're putting I'm assuming this is a green roof on the
Well,
garage?
18 inches of soil, they're trying to get there, yes.
Do you know why they've chosen to do that?
I get the very preliminary material, and then we really get all the meat and potatoes on Monday.
I'm just wondering if they're attempting, like what Brenda was asking, are they attempting a LEED certification on the building, and they're
I will
looking for a
report
green
back.
roof, or whether the township is asking them to decrease their stormwater footprint? Or
Where do the people park now?
There's sort of in and around the building, I guess, in public spaces, and then there's some gravel parking area, apparently. I'm going over to look at the building tomorrow, because I haven't really looked at it from where do people park since. But I like to do that occasionally when something new is coming up. So I'll let you know next
Okay,
meeting.
yeah. If they're going to spend all the money now to convert it, it would be great to have green aspects. Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
especially think that's a good idea if they are seeking more spaces, because they're going underground, and linking that with a
Without
green-
getting into details, because it'll all be public record on Monday, the existing design is not 100% exactly according to the code. But going from outdoors to underground parking is probably better in terms of the view shed in and around the building and the environment. I mean, if you have a green roof instead of a gravel area, it's going to be better.
Great. Okay. And we also have tonight joining us Pat Gillen from Parks and Rec, and we appreciate your being here tonight, Pat. Do you have any report or update from
Just a
Parks
quick
and Rec?
one, Brenda, thank you. Being relatively new on the Parks and Rec Board since really this past March, I would say over the past couple of months, the foci of the committee has been one, and I think most people are aware of it, the Agnes Irwin lease arrangement for Memorial Field. And the other thing, items that we're moving towards with the Parks and Rec Board is to start looking at those other recreational resources in the township, namely the Salpizio Gym and also the Willows, and looking at some modernization upgrades, meeting code, especially at the Salpizio Gym
What
right
are
now.
the, can you share with us a little bit about what the issues are at Sulpizio Gym? Because that's something that we were going to talk about under new business anyway.
Again, you're getting my interpretation, okay, of it
fair
at
enough.
the last meeting. There were some code violations when they looked at that, some, I would say minor, and then there were some other aesthetic issues that they were dealing with. I would say the biggest dollar item there is a non-code issue. It reflects reworking the roof at the Salpizio Gym and where they're going to go with that. That's a large ticket item that will require some investment on part of the township. The other ones, they're trying to work within the confines of the township facilities department to address some of the code violations, and I think they have done an adequate job on that right now, so that there is not a situation where anyone using that facility would be in harm's way on that
Okay.
one. So that has been brought up to meet the code requirements. I think there were, again, some exit light issues there, minor type things that were dealt with in a timely fashion. Now they're moving on to HVAC and also the roofing at Salpizio Gym and where they're going to go with that. So that's one of the big items. The other one, the Willows, is down. That I guess that would be coming right behind a study of what's happening at Salpizio Gym, followed by some of the other resources, namely Krutzberg Center. In fact, it was in June, I think Friday, June 17th. Tammy Cohen put together a tour along with the township manager, as well as some other individuals here on staff in the township to take a tour, a bus tour, and I think there were approximately 35 to 40 individuals.
Several of us attended that.
Okay, so you were on
Yeah.
that, so you went through, and that, that was under, I think, the aegis of the Parks and Rec, with Tammy having a lot to do with that, looking at the Parks and Rec facilities, as well as some other issues in the township.
Okay,
That's about it.
great.
Pat, could I ask?
Sure.
The condition of some of the Little League fields or baseball fields is an issue, particularly when you visit some of the surrounding towns, like Newtown. We just my boy played in a tournament in Newtown, and they have really terrific baseball fields and facilities. I don't know if it's on the agenda at all to look at the condition, particularly of what is probably one of our best fields, the Yankee Field. But it doesn't compare terribly favorably to other premier fields for other townships. And I just wonder if that's something that the board has been looking at or has on its
I think it's on the
agenda.
future agenda to look at that. Right now, they're looking at, I guess, the use of all the facilities, and that's one of the driving forces behind trying to work out the arrangement with Agnes Irwin, with Memorial Field, because that's a very limited use field as it stands right now in the condition that it is in. In fact, if memory serves me correctly, the use is limited to the very young athletes, okay, because it is not in the condition that you really want to put the older athletes out there. So once they get that up and operational and resolve that, then they can start moving on. There are some things that I know Tammy indicated that at Cowan Field, some of the amenities at that field are beyond the drawing boards right now and ready to go into operation with comfort stations and so on there. So
Right.
yes, I think it is, and I know the forces to be in the athletic associations are at all of our meetings and constantly looking at trying to make improvements in our resources for the kids. And I will bring that concern
Please,
back to them
thank you.
also.
Yeah, that's great.
Do they talk about at the meetings, or maybe another concern, you can bring up something that I observed on the tour, was the lack of any type of like maintenance? Like they pointed out the comfort station at Memorial Field, cedar building, really nice, but there's no plan. They put it in and there's no plan to go back and take care of it. It's kind of like when they see something broke, they go out and fix it, opposed to maybe having like
Preventative maintenance type.
Exactly. And I mean, talking with Tammy, doesn't seem like there's any type of schedule like that's in the township. So if they're going to be investing
Yes.
in these new comfort stations and investing in these fields, which are heavily used, I think that's a big concern of mine.
I'll bring that back to Fenton, who's the chair of the group, and I'm sure he'll pass that on to Tammy, and we'll see. There's two issues.
Can I ask you, just to take a step back to the Willows and the Sulpizio Gym and maybe even the Kreuzberg Center? I guess what it sounds like is that right now you're identifying present and potential future uses for these buildings, right? Because right now the Sulpizio Gym is used for certain purposes, but that doesn't necessarily mean what it's going to be used for 5 years from now. We might do something else with it. So is that right? Right now you're in the middle of figuring out uses? Or are you going to fix the HVACs?
What they're trying to do, and I think it addresses some of your concerns you have also, short and long-term plans about where you're at right now with an analysis of all the resources you have, where you want to get to in a few years, and how you're going to go about doing that. Does
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, what I'm driving at, or what I was, because the renovation of these buildings, which include the HVAC, the roof, possibly windows, a lot of that has to do with energy consumption, and the energy consumption of the township's buildings is in the here and now on this board. I guess once the uses of these buildings is identified, or what we think they're going to be used for, or what our plan is, it then makes sense to renovate or maintain or upgrade the facilities accordingly. So for instance, if Willows is going to be occupied 24/7, 365, then you would upgrade it differently than if it was going to be just used for one
Seasonally, yes.
one evening a week or something like that, right? So, yeah, I would love to stay up to speed on, what the plans are for these buildings in the township.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, because we
I
are
see-
looking at these issues, as
Yeah.
Josh says, under the greenhouse gas action
That's
plan. So
right.
there may be, expertise that we can offer, or guidance that we can offer into the plans as they're being developed, with an eye toward energy use or energy conservation.
I'll see that that's communicated back to Fenton. I have some limited exposure in my own profession with LEED certification and so on, and I'll keep an eye to that as we, my involvement with the Parks and Rec Board.
That'd be great, yeah, because
Yeah.
once something is renovated, it's hard to do it again, because, the money's already been spent.
It's done and it's
you know,
out there.
it helps to do it right the first time, so.
I would agree 100% with that.
Right. So actually, one of the issues that we were going to bring up under new business was the Sulpizio gym, because Commissioner Nagel had reached out to us about a month or so ago, noting the issues over there, or just noting that there were issues over there, and wondering whether it might make sense to try to identify opportunities related to solar, PV panels on the roof, and whether that might potentially be a source of income that might help to pay for roof repairs. So a couple of us have reached out to solar developers, energy providers, to talk to them about that. Oftentimes the solar developers are, subs of roofing companies. And so there may be an opportunity perhaps to negotiate a power purchase agreement or something that incorporates roof repair in a situation where perhaps we can get the roof repaired, the energy company can put panels up there, we can enter into some kind of a contract by which we would, say, purchase the energy at a cost that was no greater than what we were paying now, but we'd get the roof taken care of, for some amount of time. And there's different ways to structure those deals, but there may be enough of an incentive for some of the emerging developers, that have a strong roofing background to, give us a good deal on something like that. So we're in the process of talking to some folks. We've put them back in contact with Commissioner Nagel, who has asked, I think, the township manager to reach out to them. So, okay, very good. Does anyone have anything else? No? Okay, very good. Then we're going to close this meeting now so that we have sufficient time to get everything wrapped up and begin the sustainability series program at 7 o'clock, and that will be Bringing Green Energy Home, and we hope folks can come out and attend. Thank you very much.
One more thing. Want to announce the traffic that
Oh, sure. Yes, that's a good point. So Jim Doling had provided to us a printout of, I guess, the web traffic on the videos that we post of the Sustainability Series program, because they're all televised, and then the videos are posted on the Township website. And looks like for many of the programs, we're getting hits in the 200, 300, 400 hit range, which I think is just fabulous, because it shows that folks are actually, if not watching it on TV, real time, that they're looking on the web, they're watching it, they're getting educated. So we're reaching beyond just, last Thursday of the month audience, and I think that's just fabulous. So for those that may be watching, if you have ideas, again, issues that you'd like us to present in Sustainability Series, please send us a note. You can send it to Melissa Kahn at the Township mconn, M-C-O-N-N, at radnor.org. Radnor.org? Radnor.gov. Org. Okay, terrific. Great, thank you. All right.